Hi, my name is John Jacob Tan, and welcome to the clinic of Group 2. And here are the members of Group 2. And today, we are going to discuss about cardiovascular system, circulatory, and respiratory. First is, what is cardiovascular system? Cardio means heart, and vascular means blood vessels. This supplies your body's organs with oxygen and nutrients so your organs can do their jobs. Second is, cardiovascular and circulatory the same? The main difference between cardiovascular system and circulatory system is that cardiovascular system consists of the heart and the blood vessels through which blood flows, whereas circulatory system consists of all the routes through which different forms of circulating fluids in the body flow. Two types of circulation: pulmonary circulation, heart to lungs back to the heart, and second, systematic circulation, heart to body back to the heart. Here we have an example of pulmonary circulation and systematic circulation. As we can see this arrow that is pointing away from the heart, that the blood is deoxygenated and going to the lungs. And the lungs will oxygenate the blood going back to the heart and the rest of the body. And that circulation is called systematic circulation. And the oxygenated blood is going to be deoxygenated again, that is going back to the heart, and that deoxygenated blood is going back to the lungs, and that is what we call a pulmonary circulation. Things to remember: arteries are vessels that leaves the heart, and veins are vessels going back to the heart. And here are the parts of circulatory and cardiovascular system. First is capillaries, are where oxygen and nutrients are exchanged for carbon dioxide and waste. Next is pulmonary arteries. It is called pulmonary arteries because, as we can remember, arteries are vessels that leaves the heart, and this artery is involved in the pulmonary circulation. Next is the systematic veins. It's called systematic veins because veins are vessels that goes to the heart, and the vein is involved in the systematic circulation. Next is the lungs. The lungs refresh the blood with a new supply of oxygen which come from the air that you breathe in. Next is the pulmonary veins, simply veins that are involved in pulmonary circulation. Next is the aorta. It's the main artery that carries blood away from your heart to the rest of your body. Next is the heart. It's a fist-sized organ that pumps blood throughout your body. Next is the systematic arteries. Again, these are arteries that are involved in the systematic circulation. And here are the 5 common diseases of cardiovascular system. First is the heart attack. A heart attack, also called a myocardial infarction, happens when a part of the heart muscle doesn't get enough blood. Second is stroke. It's a disease that affects the arteries leading to and within the brain. It is the number 5 cause of death and a leading cause of disability in the United States. Third is the heart failure. Occurs when the heart muscles doesn't pump blood as well as it should. Fourth is arrhythmia. It's a problem with the rate of rhythm of your heartbeat. It means that your heart beats too quickly, too slowly, or with an irregular pattern. When the heart beats faster than normal, it is called tachycardia. When the heart beats too slowly, it is called bradycardia. And lastly, heart valve complications, or heart failure, stroke, and blood clots. And lastly, what is respiratory system? The respiratory system is the network of organs and tissues that help you breathe. And here are the parts of the respiratory system. We have the nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, lobes, lungs, turbinates, and the alveoli. And here we have the nasal cavity. It's a large air-filled space above and behind the nose in the middle of the face. Next is the turbinates, are bony structures inside the nose covered by the soft tissue called mucosa. Next is the pharynx. It's the part of the throat behind the mouth and nasal cavity and above the esophagus and trachea. The tubes going down to the stomach and the lungs. And the pharynx has three parts: the nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. The nasopharynx is the upper part of the throat that lies behind the nose, and the oropharynx is the middle part of your throat just beyond your mouth. And lastly, the laryngopharynx, also referred to as the hypopharynx, is the most caudal portion of the pharynx, and it's a crucial connection point through which food, water, and air pass. And next is the trachea. It's the long tube that connects your larynx or voice box to your bronchi. And in the trachea, we have this tissue called the cartilage. It's a non-vascular type of supporting connective tissue that is found throughout the body. Cartilage is a flexible connective tissue that differs from bone in several ways. It is avascular, and its microarchitecture is less organized than bone. And when the trachea is divided into two to make the bronchi, this is called the bifurcation, the division of trachea into two branches or parts. And next is the bronchi, are the two large tubes that carry air from your windpipe to your lungs that continues to branch around 23 times. And these branches are called the bronchioles, are air passages inside the lungs that the branch off like three limbs from the bronchi. And these bronchioles form the alveoli. Here is where the site of gas exchange. And here are the 5 common diseases of respiratory system. First is asthma, a respiratory condition marked by spasms in the bronchi of the lungs, causing difficulty in breathing. It is usually results from an allergic reaction or other forms of hypersensitivity. Second is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or COPD. Over time, exposure to irritants that damage your lungs and airways can cause chronic obstruction pulmonary disease, which includes chronic bronchitis and emphysema. The main cause of COPD is smoking, but non-smokers can get COPD too. Third is pulmonary fibrosis. It's a lung disease that occurs when lung tissue becomes damaged and scarred. Fourth is pneumonia. It's an infection that inflames the air sacs in one or both lungs. And lastly, lung cancer. It's a type of cancer that begins in the lungs. And here, I provided some notes for you to study and to remember. All in all, the circulatory and respiratory systems work together to circulate blood and oxygen throughout the body. Air moves in and out of the lungs through the trachea, bronchi, and bronchioles. Blood moves in and out to the lungs through the pulmonary arteries and veins that connects to the heart that keeps us alive. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something. And thank you for stopping by to our clinic. And here are 3 questions that our group provided. Number 1, what are the 2 types of circulation of blood? Number 2, explain briefly the difference between cardiovascular system and circular system. Number 3, what is respiratory system? You got 10 minutes to answer.